a heart that hurts. I want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life mending broken people. Hello friends, welcome to 3ABN. We're so glad that you've taken the time to tune back in, or maybe you're just continuing from the prior program, but you don't want to change this program. We have two wonderful people here today to talk about something that every one of us is in need of, how to be healed naturally. With the rising cost of health in our world today, nobody really wants to be ill. Nobody wants to be sick, and sometimes we ignore that very important aspect of our daily functioning lives until we are told by the doctor that something's wrong. Well, if you go the natural way, sometimes you can prevent those things, but if you've gone the prescription way or the medical way, you can find alternative opportunities, and that's what this program is all about. So stay tuned, you will surely be blessed. I want to also thank you for your prayers and your financial support of this network as we continue going and growing, getting ready for the coming of our Lord. And as you know, we always have great music. I want to optimize our time today. The young man that's going to be singing for us has been with this ministry for some time. We are always blessed by his music. Brother Steve Darmody is going to be blessing us with a song entitled "The Time That Remains."
I know my days were numbered before I drew my first breath, and I have no way of knowing when I'll close my eyes in death. I only have this moment, and before it slips away, I want to make a difference while it's still called today. In the time that remains, I will lift high the cross, and in Jesus' name be a light for the lost. I pray I won't live one moment in vain, for all that I have is the time that remains. The grains of sand are slipping through the hourglass of time as I sift through all the memories of the life I've left behind. All of my accomplishments will vanish in the wind, but only what I've done for Christ will matter in the end. In the time that remains, I will lift high the cross, and in Jesus' name be a light for the lost. I pray I won't live one moment in vain, for all that I have is the time that remains. Every minute, every hour of every day, with all my heart and soul, I know I'll find a way. In the time that remains, I will lift high the cross,
Thank you, Steve, for that very contemplative song. You know, we don't think about life as the time that remains. And whatever that time is, only the Lord knows. That's why this program is vitally important. You know, there's a text in the Bible, why die before your time? And we want to have optimum health and enjoy life and live and know what abundant living is all about. And that's why our guests today are, I'm excited about what they're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and meet them right now. To my right is Linda. Linda, good to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Linda Clark.
Yes.
And you have been here before. I won't say when, but you were here with your sisters and sang for 3ABN.
Right, many years ago.
Wow. Well, tell us, our viewing and listening audience, what you do and where you're from.
Well, we have a business called Highway to Health.
Okay.
And we help people with natural remedies.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason why I got into that was simply because many years ago I was ill. Mm-hmm. And prior to being ill, I had been a medical transcriptionist.
Okay.
And I worked for Barnes Jewish Hospital and UCSF. I really had a good, cushy position, and then I got sick. After a 13-year really bad marriage, I got sick, and then I met my husband prior to that, and so you probably want to meet him first.
Oh yeah, but yeah, you're going into the story. We're going to dive into him right now, and then we're going to come back and we'll just we'll artichoke the story. You know, the artichoke till we get to the heart of the issue. But good to have you here, Ed. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Tell our audience. I just mentioned who you are. I said Ed, Eddie Clark.
Yes.
So good to have you here.
Thank
the
you.
wife of one woman, Linda Clark.
Yes.
And tell our audience what you do right now and where you're from.
From Missouri, and presently I drive a truck.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not busy doing other things, mostly helping my wife with her business.
Okay. And since you're married to Linda, you both are from Missouri.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I found out also that you both are natives of Missouri.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's very rare. Do we meet people, well, not unusual, but a lot of times people say, well, I was born in North Carolina, now I live in Missouri, I was from California now, but we're glad that you're here today. In spite of where you're from, you're right, you're neighbors with us.
Yeah.
And which means you drove here.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, glad to have you here. We're going to talk about the highway to health, but before that, just kind of take us a little bit through your journey, because I know that in some point of our walk with the Lord, He brings to our table the will for our lives that unfolds at particular intervals. And so either one of you could talk about, you mentioned, you kind of alluded to some of the challenges you went through.
Yes.
Talk about some of those, and then how the Lord led you to the place where Highway of Health, Highway to Health was born.
Yes. Well, you know, I had been a medical transcriptionist for 25 years, mm-hmm. and then in that 25 years, I was in an abusive marriage. And so then I went through a divorce, mm-hmm. and my health was starting to decline. And then my dad died suddenly one night. That one night the night he died, he was blowing kisses through the window to my mother while he was mowing the lawn. And he was always like that, very flamboyant. So anyway, that combined with my marriage having failed, and then I met him, mm-hmm. and got remarried. And then my digestion was so bad that I couldn't lay down. It would cause a heart arrhythmia. And so I was so ill that people, when they would look at me, they would think, she needs to get to the hospital. She needs to see a doctor. And so I just fell on the Lord and said, Lord, I can't take anymore. Show me what to do. I was seeing a doctor at the time, and he had given me something for my digestion, but nothing was working. And so I just fell on the Lord and told him, I can't take any more, Lord. It's time for you to show me your power as my great physician.
That's right.
And it was right about that time that I discovered a lump in my breast. After I felt like I couldn't take any more, then the lump. And so I just fell on the Lord, and I said, Lord, if I go to the doctor right now and find out that this lump is something serious, then they might as well just dig a big hole and push me in. I can't take it anymore.
You resolved that this is it. I've had enough. This is just too much for me to handle. But evidently you continued asking the Lord for direction.
Oh, I did. I fell on him. I said, Lord, I'm Jacob, who took hold of you and would not let you go. And I am that woman who touched the hem of your garment. I am there, Lord, and I will do whatever you tell me to do. Please just do not deny me the privilege of having you as my great physician. I'm here, and I'm claiming you, and I'm coming boldly to the throne of grace.
Amen.
And so God heard my prayer. And I felt like somebody was saying, why don't you start juicing? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start juicing. And I went to the store, bought all these vegetables, and I started putting them through my juicer. I had no one to show me how. I didn't have a particular order. I just started cramming them through my juicer. And I started drinking them through the day. Well, the next day, I was so toxic that the next day, I mean, I thought I was going to die. Even more so.
Was that from juice?
Detox.
Okay. Oh, the body was detoxing itself.
Right, right. And when you actually start to detox, if you haven't made any measures to get the organs of elimination open, which I've discovered that now, if you haven't made any efforts to do that, I mean, you can feel pretty rough because, I mean, you're gonna have those poisons, those toxins floating around in the bloodstream when the immune system starts doing what it's supposed to do. Those poisons are going to start floating around in the bloodstream, and they're going to look for a fast way out, which is our colon, our kidneys, and lungs, skin, liver, all these.
So if I'm
things.
hearing you correctly, then these juices started the body, it activated, let's get rid of this poisonous stuff. But because you didn't make any prior preparation, it was kind of like, here we come, ready or not, and all of a sudden your body's starting to.
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, it almost shut me down. I said, Lord, I can't do that. So I immediately abandoned it, and so then I just kept looking for different natural herbal remedies online, and I kept struggling. Where do I turn? You know, there's so many. Everybody's got an answer, but it was trying to tap into the way God thinks. It was trying to find out how He thinks and how He was speaking to me. And before we can get, we think that we have God's we're on His channel, but it takes a while to get confidence in how He operates and how He's working through your life. And so
it's a big faith walk right now as you talk, as you're working your way into this.
That's right.
Say, okay, I know I'm moving in the right direction, but
Lord,
guide me.
Define this for me.
Right.
And so I had abandoned it, and then all of a sudden I felt, well, why don't you go back to it? Go back to juicing. And so I did. And meanwhile, I had discovered that there are things that you don't put in your juices, and one is beets, at least in the beginning, because it's a very powerful purge for the liver. And so I left the beets out the second time. I used carrots as my base, and I started putting other vegetables in there. And pretty soon, I started full into detox. I started cleaning out my bowels with a good herbal formula, and I started opening up the organs of elimination. I started walking. I did the whole gamut. And every day in the shower, I would say, Lord, I don't want to be a fool. Show me what to do. I am listening. I'm here. I'm listening.
Wow.
And I would examine the lump in my breast, and it was still there, and in the beginning it even appeared to get bigger. While my body was detoxifying, it's like stirring everything up. It's just,
an internal car wash.
There you go.
I'm trying to picture this. The body is saying, here we are. Thanks for letting us in. We're going to get rid of what doesn't belong here.
That's
and
right.
the toxins started, here they come. I mean, if you think about the natural, these are things that are from God's garden. Somebody once said, if you want something that's going to really work, get it the way that God prepared it. And so that's these natural things coming against all these toxins, all the processed foods, all the things that are just clogging our bodies. So you're going through this thing.
And we were spending a lot of time in the Word of God, and we were claiming His promises. And like when God told the children of Israel, if you follow my laws and my statutes, none of these diseases that are in Egypt will come upon you. And so I had recently heard that the diseases that the Egyptians had in Moses' day were the same ones as what we have today. And so we were leaning very heavily on God's Word and His promises that He would guide and lead and show us His natural remedies. Because obviously they had them back then too.
Yes.
That's true. I mean, I've heard about that where they would examine a sarcophagus and do samples, the DNA samples, and look at the existing diseases some thousands of years ago. And amazingly enough, evidences were there to say they suffered from the SAD, which there was no America at the time, the standard American diet.
Right.
And it's amazing, but true. Continue in the story here, though. Because you're tarrying with God, you're saying, Lord, show me, and somewhere along the way, there's a breakthrough coming. I'm hearing it.
Well, yes, there's definitely a breakthrough. Well, before I actually started juicing the second time, I had discovered, and this is crazy, and I don't usually tell people this part, but it was definitely part of my journey, so I'm going to share it. But what I had done was I ordered some black salve online, and it's basically all natural. It's got bloodroot in it, which has the ability...
Black salve?
Black salve.
Okay.
Black salve. Now, do we recommend that in our business?
It's like a paste? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it is a paste that you're supposed to put over a tumor, and it does have the ability to pull the tumor out. Well, when you're sick and you have a desperate situation, that's exactly what you feel, is desperate. So you're willing to try, whatever you think will work within reason. And so I had studied up on it, and I decided that's what I would try. I would place it over the lump in my breast. And so I discovered that it was not going to work, but something else happened. It has the reputation for not only pulling out the poisons that you're trying to work on, or the tumor that you're working on, but it also has a reputation for pulling other things from the body too that might be abnormal. Whether it's malignancies or, and I'm not sure exactly what abnormalities, but anyway, the Lord knew that I did not have an official diagnosis, because He knew that I was at home, and I really, mentally, I was so broken. Just having been through a bad marriage, I was just totally broken. And, I cried a lot. I was depressed. For the first time in my life, I was depressed, and I was always a happy person. And so I applied the black salve, and instead of it working on the lump in my breast, it actually pulled out something under my ear that turned out what you call an eschar. And so I knew then that I was in trouble. And so, but the Lord, because I didn't have a diagnosis, the Lord knew that I might get lazy later on, and He gave me that example to keep me true to my program. Because sometimes when the symptoms go away, we are symptom-oriented. When we don't have a symptom anymore, why keep doing what we're doing?
We tend to think, well, I feel good.
We're well.
Why should I take any more medication? Or why should I continue following the prescription or the regimen? I could understand that, because a lot of people do that.
And it was crazy. I mean, do we recommend now that people do black salve? Well, we don't specifically recommend black salve, because really that's more of an isolated problem to a bigger picture. Which the reason why I went on to juice is because my whole body was toxic. I needed to cleanse my whole body, and that's the way, it's on that level that the Lord meets us, is because He doesn't want us to be approaching our problem symptomatically, even though some symptoms are life-threatening and they have to be temporarily approached in a symptomatic manner. Or, but as far as healing, the Lord wants us to heal from the ground roots up. And so that is the way I went. I mean, I did it all. I did hot and cold showers. I did my own hydrotherapy. I walked, deep breathing, castor oil packs on my body to pull out poisons, and I did the whole 9 yards. And I
the
studied
whole gamut, the arsenal of let's get better.
Yes.
Now, did you start documenting any of this to see what worked and what didn't work, or?
Yes, all of the remedies worked. All of the ones that I tried, they all worked, but it's a matter of cleaning out the body. It requires, trying all of them. And sometimes some of them feel bad after you do them, as far as you don't feel that you're getting the results that
Right.
you want. And so you just have to keep on doing them in faith that they are part of the healing
Process.
right?
Now, at what point did you start saying, okay, this is working, let's go ahead? And Ed, were you were in the picture at the time?
A lot of the remedies that she was using, I was doing along with her.
Oh, okay.
Because she would come to me and, I'm going to do a liver flush. Will you do one with me? And I'm thinking, I'm feeling okay. I don't think I need a liver flush.
Well,
But
actually,
to give her encouragement, make her feel like somebody was walking with her hand in hand.
Okay.
I did a number of the remedies with her, and I benefited a lot more than what I realized I would.
well, no, he did benefit. Matter of fact, he was saying that he didn't benefit, but he was having a pain that came up his shoulder right here, and I felt that it was referred pain from his liver. It turned out it was, because as we did the liver flushes, he passed thousands of stones over the next 6 months.
Wow.
Because we did them systematically, and he passed a lot to where, he was out there working on the tractor, and he'd turn his body like this because the pain was so bad in his neck. So.
At what point did you feel the urging to just go ahead and say, we found something here, and we need to go ahead and move in the direction of disseminating this information so people can find out how I benefited from what the Lord revealed to me?
Well, in the beginning, I didn't feel, I felt just like a suppliant pleading to the Lord to help me. I didn't have any plans to share anything with people. At this point, I was still a medical transcriptionist, and so it wasn't until I had actually gotten well that I wrote a book regarding all the things that had happened to me, and I put the Black Sabbath episode in there because I wanted to show that sometimes we get desperate and we do silly things, and that may not have been silly. I mean, obviously the Lord used that to keep that in mind, that I have a serious condition here, and I'm going to stay with this until I get well.
But the Black Sabbath time hadn't come yet, in essence, in the process of your healing. But it's included in the story.
It is.
And those who are watching and listening to the program, what's the title of the book?
The Narrow Road to Natural Healing. It's not quite available, but if anyone were interested, we could put them on the list.
We'll let them know how to get a copy of that too.
Right.
But now, where did you get the inspiration now to go to the health and healing, the road to health?
Because, I guess the conventional route just did not appeal to me. I was a medical transcriptionist all my life, and there are certain conditions that it just doesn't give the answers that you would hope for. And so I told the Lord that I would rather die than go anywhere besides just coming to His feet. And so he met my boldness with His own bold answers. And I listened, and I think that's what He wants from everybody, just maybe to give Him first chance, not to exclude their doctor by any means, but just maybe, if possible, give him first chance. One of the things that my husband and I bring out in our seminars is the nutritional density in the food is no longer there if people are eating genetically modified food.
That's right.
We have compromises in our food source now that we never had before. Even if, people call me and say, I'm eating everything right, I'm eating I've been a vegan all my life. I've done this and this and this, but I was just diagnosed with cancer. What's the problem? Well, sometimes we get sideswiped by the sins in the world, the sins in food production, the sins in the farming practices, the sins in people trying to make money on the innocent of the world that don't understand. And that's why we have to educate ourselves, and that's why my husband and I try to educate people now on how to stay well, how to get well once we are sick. I mean, we're past prevention. We're now at the stage now where we have to really involve the great physician into restoring the health of his people.
That's right.
And I really believe that He wants to in a big way. I don't think He wants His people to be sick. Our countenance reflects His love, His mercy, His power as our great physician.
Matter of fact, in the Garden of Eden, when the Lord gave Adam and Eve the appropriate or the optimum diet, you find that also reflected again in Revelation. The leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nation. And not that we're going to be ill, but the Lord is showing us that there's a natural, as somebody once said, the more natural it is, the more it resembles the way that God made it, the greater the benefit we will get. You also have a video roll. I want to talk about that because in this video roll, you give, you put together some of these things that we're talking about now. We're laying the foundation, but the video roll gives some more information. Tell us about what we're going to see, and then I'll go to that video roll.
Well, it's basically us doing our seminars, just little clips here and there of our seminars. And then also, we don't have as much time as we used to because we have a business to run as well.
Okay.
But also, you know, a little bit of our music, a little bit of everything to kind of give people an idea of what we do in our ministry. And then also, later on, we'll talk about the pictures.
Yes, we'll bring that out about the health retreat center, the lifestyle center that we're talking about.
Right.
So look at this video clip, and this will give you some idea of what Ed and Linda is involved in their Highway of Health ministry.
One day a plain village woman, driven by love alone.
We would like to talk about something that's very important to our health today. One of the things that people sometimes wonder is, what is God's role in all of this? Does He want me to be happy? What does He want me to be healthy?
I hope through your walk with the Lord, your faith will be strengthened to be able to have faith to overcome all things, no matter what the devil might throw in your way, even if it's some type of sickness or ailment.
One of the neat things about the way the body operates is when we give it the tools that it needs to heal, as in raw foods or raw juices, a process that's called autolysis.
Some of you may remember me, and about 2 years ago I looked very different. I was 300 pounds, so I was a lot bigger. I am now half my size, and in a totally different mind frame than I was at that time.
Back into the soil, primarily that is it, and so we have an imbalance of our nutrition. The trace minerals are not being put back into the soil, and so we're having some really bad problems with our
There's still room for more.
another compromise. As our vegetables are getting bigger and bigger and more beautiful in the store, guess what's happening? Our nutritional density is getting less
This is
and
an
less.
oxymoron in this country, because what's normal to the American Cancer Society, American Diabetic Association, to the AMA is not normal. You know, they say
Something I noticed
normal
in the report that you read from 1991 versus 1940, the amount of sodium that's naturally in foods nowadays is a whole lot lower.
And so we're here to show you that you don't have to be a part of the standard American diet.
Amen.
Does anybody know what the 5 organs of elimination are? Colon, yes. Lungs,
We got skin, colon, lungs,
kidneys,
kidneys.
and
Replace
liver.
them with good things and help stimulate the body's organs and digestive
Well, that's
systems.
right. Matter of fact, disease actually begins in the body because toxins are coming in faster
Then the body can actually eliminate them.
It was there on Calvary. God's dear Son laid down His life for you.
Why would it be so much more important to use a natural antibiotic versus antibiotics we get from the pharmacy?
That's a very good point. Well, you know, we need our intestinal flora. Now everybody is becoming antibiotic resistant. Bringing things out, all the abnormalities, all the poisons, and you will be able to rebuild. And that's what you want, is that rebuilding process. The body usually breaks down the bad tissues and starts rebuilding the healthy tissues. Our bodies are not responding to the antibiotics like they used to.
So pharmaceutical antibiotics, although they help short term for whatever ailment a person might have, long term they actually hinder and sometimes destroy the body's natural immune system.
They do.
Where
When you take a
natural-
sedentary lifestyle, then the person is not using their lungs, and then they're not using their skin. So that takes out two of the largest organs of elimination and puts all the pressure on your kidneys, your liver.
A lot of people have gravitated towards putting a whole lot more salt on their food
That's a very
because their
good thought.
bodies have become deficient in sodium.
Thank you so much for that demonstration, Ed and Linda. But now you have to cap off the story about how you got healed, because we talked about getting healed, but pull that together for us.
Okay, I actually went back to juicing. I got on a good herbal program to open up the organs of elimination, and I went on a juice fast. I was trying to go on a longer juice fast because I had a very weak digestion. Anything I ate, it really wouldn't digest my food very well, and so I just thought I'd just let my digestion rest. I went on a juice fast. The longest one was 42 days, and somewhere in the middle of those 42 days, I mean, the clouds parted. I mean, I could work outside on the hottest day, right in the
So your
middle of it.
energy level was up?
Right. Now, juice fast is not about robbing your body of. There's more nutrition in a glass of carrot juice than most people have all day.
Wow.
So this was not about robbing my body of nutrition. This was about flooding my body with nutrition, setting aside the fiber, so that I could actually get more in. And so I drank the juices throughout the day. Now, with the fiber in there, you have to consider that a meal replacement.
That's right.
So you remove the fiber, and you can take it and continually feed the immune system throughout the day, and the immune system just goes out the ceiling.
Wow.
That's what the immune system loves. It just needs that nutrition, and that's why a lot of people are nutritionally starved, and they're craving foods, they're gaining weight, and our nation is gaining weight because they're so nutritionally starved. Their body is craving for something that it never gets.
Wow. You know, well, I want to go forward on this because we talked about, there's a very significant point here as we talk about the Highway to Health ministry, and then I want to bring Ed into this because now Steve Wahlberg with White Horse Media was blessed by what the Lord did in your life. Ed, talk about that.
Well, we wanted to do something bigger and possibly turn it into a ministry if the Lord would open up the door. And we were spending a lot of time in Scripture and Spirit of Prophecy. And every time that we would see where Ellen White was talking about health ministry, it was always in harmony and conjunction with the gospel ministry. And it just so happened when we came to this point, Steve Wahlberg was the main speaker at our camp meeting. And so we thought, well, we'll let the Lord, see if the Lord will open up the door. And
Let me add something right here. We had already started the business. We had gotten into the business. After I got well, we started
That's
our
the Highway to
business.
Health business.
Well, we were called Fountain Valley Herbs at the time.
Okay, gotcha.
And so it was only after we met Steve that we changed it to Highway to Health.
Okay.
So I'll let him continue now.
Okay.
Sorry.
so we went and met Steve at the camp meeting, and the Lord providentially opened doors to get Steve and Linda connected. He had some health issues that he wasn't making public, which we found interesting. And he was searching for someone to help him out. And he ended up coming to talk to Linda while we were there at the camp meeting, and that's kind of where
Well, we
it all
had
started.
actually pursued him because we thought, I had been to a seminar the day before, and we were going to live stream camp meeting, the Iowa, Missouri camp meeting. We were going to live stream it at home, and we did. But after the church service, all of a sudden something says, why don't you take your natural remedies to Steve Wahlberg and see if they might want to incorporate your ministry with theirs.
Right.
And so I said it to my husband. I approached him with that, and he said, sure. And so we went up there. We asked his associate, Gilbert, at the time, if he we didn't even ask Steve. We were just going to ask his associate. And he said, no, we really don't have a need for a ministry, a health ministry. We already have someone. So I said, okay, fine. And I started putting all my things back in the box. Then up steps Steve Wahlberg, and he was very interested in all the remedies, and he wanted to know what everything was and what we made and everything. So I explained it to him. I didn't ever give him another sales pitch or anything. And then we sat down, and he was going up and down the aisles, and we didn't know what he was looking for, but he was looking for us because he had been praying to the Lord that the Lord would send him someone that would help him with, and he's made it public now, so we can say that it was his high blood pressure. And so he said he was going to make an announcement at camp meeting that if anyone could help him with his high blood pressure or had any ideas to please come to him and let him know. He said he never made that announcement, but then after I walked away, he said something hit him, and he goes, that's who the Lord sent. And so I don't know how true that is, but I had the opportunity of helping Steve. And I, of course, encouraged him to do something that I had done. And that was to, get involved with the herbs, and then also to go on a juice fast, which is what he did.
Wow.
And
as a result of that now, you guys are considering or actually moving forward in including with White Horse Media a lifestyle center.
Yes.
That's
where it started.
And it started with God intervening into your life at a very critical point, leading you to understand the natural benefits of what he has already created and how the body works in conjunction with that. And I like what you said, Ed. You benefited from that as your wife was going through that. But now with the White Horse Media, I want to talk about this lifestyle center.
Yes.
And you have a few pictures that kind of give us an overview of some of the other things that you do. We're going to show those pictures and walk us through that. And we're going to talk about this lifestyle center, for example.
This is the property we are going to finish the lodge, the lifestyle lodge on. This is where we have 25 acres. We are in a wonderful setting of Christians around us that have capabilities of turning their property into access to as we expand. And so this is where we want to continue our lifestyle center. We have it partially built up, but we have run out of funding to finish it.
We're going to talk about that. And what are we seeing here?
This is one of our raised beds for different things. We like to teach how to gardening, as well as culturing will be one of the things that we'll do. And then, of course, we're going to be teaching medical missionaries at our lifestyle center as well, teaching them in conjunction with Highway to Health, our business that we sell natural remedies with salves, tinctures, superfoods. We put them together, and people that come there to have the lifestyle benefit of the lifestyle, then they can also learn how to not only get well, but they can go home and take these skills with them to stay well.
Now, we talked about this prior to that, and either one of you could share the story about people that were benefiting. Like, for example, let's talk about the person that had a heart problem.
Yes.
And they understood through natural remedies how the Lord can help. Maybe, I don't know, Ed, you want to start with that? Or
We had a lady who had just come into the church, and she'd been diagnosed with lung cancer. And she was uncomfortable initially with going natural remedies, so she had radiation.
And chemo.
And chemo.
Yeah.
And the doctor told her that they would only be able to shrink it, but they wouldn't be able to get rid of it. And after it was all said and done, they initially sent her home to put her things in order because her life wasn't going to last much longer. And she came to Linda, and we had bought a few juicers, and Linda put her on a juicing program.
Yeah, was it eBay, all those eBay juices you had?
Yes, yes. After I got well, then we just wanted to share juicing with everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we bought 10 juicers on eBay, and we just shared them with everybody. Everybody were so sick of us because we always had a juicer for everybody.
We're sharing good stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so this was one of the ladies. We had a little bitty church there in Boonville, and here was this needing person right there. And so she started on the juicing program, and within just a few months, she went back for a CT scan, and whereas when she had last seen the doctor, it was only reduced, just like he said. But then after she went on a juicing program, and we set her up with an herbal program, she opened up the Organs of Elimination, and the cancer was gone. And it never came back. The rest of her life, it never came back. She said every time she went to see the doctor, he always says, I wonder what happened to that cancer.
The Lord got rid of it through the natural processes.
Right.
And what I like, we talk about this, you're not recommending that people, get rid of their physician, but you're also saying if you work in conjunction, the health, and there are some people that are so advanced chronically, so to speak, that they need the benefit of both. But this woman's story was the Lord stepped in through these natural remedies, and I like that you say the organs of elimination. You've used that term a number of times.
Right.
Because these toxins need to go somewhere, they need to come out.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, we all are exposed to toxins every day. So getting those toxins to come out, getting those organs of elimination to just do their job. And we shut them down by, we don't get the exercise we used to. We don't drink water like we used to. We don't do a lot of things that we used to years ago. And so we've shut our organs of elimination down, and that's how we get sick.
Yeah, the reason we get sick nowadays is because we're absorbing more toxins than our bodies can get rid of. And so they have to store them somehow, and they turn into disease.
Wow. And a lot of it could be through processed foods.
A number of different things, processed
Absolutely.
foods.
Most of the time it does, you know, of course none of us are innocent in our diet. We all can look back and think, wow, I shouldn't have eaten that, or how I used to eat, or what I used to do to my body. When I was young, I did this. And, you know, we walk into disease. But here's the thing, when we get serious, people have serious diseases, why can't we walk back out of it the same way we walk into it?
You know, it's amazing. The body is always at a point where it wants to fight for optimal health. And so if we allow it, if instead of continuing to bombard it with the things that keeps it ill, we start replacing it with the things that could start rebuilding it, then it starts working along with that and start repairing itself. As the Bible says, we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes.
Now I want to talk about this lifestyle center because you mentioned the property, the needs. Talk about some of the needs you have, because you know, funding is a significant part of accomplishing the ministry that you're looking at. Let's talk about some of those needs that you have. We want to put that out there.
With our business, we have people daily that well, have you got a place where I can come and kind of get a jump start on my healing? I might recommend certain things, but people need that extra help and that extra push. Sometimes people can do it at home alone, but most of the time they need the help of hydrotherapy and some of the things that a lifestyle center can offer. And one thing that we feel that our lifestyle will be a little bit, you know, that might, you know, set us aside from some of the others, is that ours is going to be 100% raw. Because I feel that if people don't start with the very top, you know, usually when people go home, they start sliding from the, you know, from the ideal. And if we set the high standard in the beginning, ideally they will stay as much as possible. But as they start slipping from that, then they're, you know, they can go back into getting sick again. And so
what are some of the financial needs that you would envision to get this lifestyle center moving in the direction? Because you have the property.
Yes.
But what's some of the financial goals that you're setting?
We're looking to raise around $250,000.
Okay.
So that we already have a portion of it started.
Okay.
And
depending upon how much we are able to raise, we'd like to raise some Nancy Riedesel who's a raw chef. She is going to be doing our raw food teaching, and we'd like to have some staffing housing as well.
Okay.
So we do have some needs that if we raise more than what we've asked for, we definitely would apply it to where we could actually make it a better place.
Well, you know, with God, nothing's impossible. I mean, 3ABN is a continual miracle, 31 years. It started with a dream and a challenge that the Lord extended to Danny Shelton. What I'd like to do right now is give you the information that you need to get in touch with Ed and Linda Clark. And if you are impressed by the Lord, to donate and to say, well, okay, the Lord is impressing me like the Lord impressed Linda and Ed to move forward in this lifestyle center, as White Horse Media is also going to be partnering. We'll talk about how you can get those donations to them. Here's the information that you need, though, to get in touch with this couple.
Highway to Health is dedicated to improving people's total well-being by teaching the importance of natural living and simple, timeless principles. If you'd like to support Highway to Health, you can do so in a variety of ways. You can write to them at 14889 Old Palestine Road, Bunston, Missouri 65237. That's 14889 Old Palestine Road, Bunston, Missouri 65237. You can call 660-838-6667. That's 660-838-6667. Or visit them online at highwaytohealth.us. That's highwaytohealth.us.
As you know, health is something that everyone is concerned about. And what this program is all about, instead of being reactive, we could be preemptive in using what the Lord has put in place. You know, Ed, Linda, I've been really walking with you through this journey because I know of individuals that are in the similar place that you're in. And what a lot of people don't know is when our bodies are not functioning, then other symptoms begin to show up like stress, lack of energy, tiredness, lack of focus. And even sometimes we react to the medications we're taking. And you have a story actually along that line of
Right.
persons not getting along with their medication and then they find an alternative way. Share that with us.
Right. Well, this happened just 2 days ago. I
Amazing.
got a call from a lady who had, she'd called me 4 or 5 days prior to that and told me that her mother, who was in her 90s, was actually on her deathbed. The doctors had told her to go home. Her heart was beating erratically. And she said she won't get out of bed. She can't move. She goes, the doctor just doesn't know what to do. So she says, but I think, she gave me a little bit of a clue. She says, it seems like she's been doing this ever since she started taking this one medication that the doctor gave her. And so she said, what do I do about that? Do you have anything that you can suggest? And I said, well, here's what I would suggest. And I suggested that she put a poultice over her mother's stomach to try to pull out that medication. And with flaxseed, charcoal, and water. And which she did. She put it over her mother's stomach, and within minutes, she started getting a reaction. And her mother, after the poultice, her mother stood up, and she's been going strong ever since. And she had ordered some of a heart remedy that we had given her. And so she started taking that as well, and she went to the doctor. She told me just the other day that the doctor said that her mother's heart is the most perfect beat that it has been in 40 years.
Wow. And she's in her 90s.
She's in her 90s,
Wow.
and her daughter's in her 70s.
That is a testament to how the body does react. I remember having a poultice once, and it was the strangest thing because I was not home. I was in Australia. Somebody gave me a poultice and wrapped it around me with the cellophane and all the other stuff there. And I had gotten sick from the long flight, and just in 2 days, the cold was gone. And I thought, wow, I'm a believer in poultice. And somebody may not have ever heard that terminology before, but if you get in touch with Ed and Linda, they'll talk about that, how to do poultices. And that's going to be included also in your lifestyle center training, correct?
Right.
And also medical missionaries.
Right.
Which is what I want to make sure also our audience gets is they may want to donate, and the portal to donating is not necessarily your email, but if you're thinking about donating to the strengthening and the building up of this ministry, here's the address: whitehorsemedia.com. That's whitehorsemedia.com. You go to that website and you'll see where the donation portal is. And don't forget, list Lifestyle Center as the reason for your donation, because if you just say if you just put donation and no particular description, it'll go towards White Horse Media regular ministry.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. But White Horse Media wants to get this Lifestyle Center in
Yes,
conjunction
they
with
do.
both. So make sure you put Lifestyle Center in the description of your donation.
Amen.
Now, here you are looking back on where you were and where God is leading you. Ed, where can you see this going in the near future?
I can see it helping a lot of people and also bringing a lot of helpers in. We like to look at ourselves a little bit like the way Loma Linda initially started.
That's right.
With training people. So a lot of people that are going to be helping us, we will also be training them so they can go to other places in the world to take what they learn to go and continue God's ministry. So it doesn't only stay with us, but we believe it's going to help a lot of other people in doing the same work.
And Linda, you indelibly consider the fact that the medical side, the gospel is medical as well as scriptural. And many people that are unhealthy, can you imagine if I'm just preaching to you and you're unhealthy, you probably don't even have the focal point to even understand the message. But when you're healthy, do you see the benefit there? The health part and the gospel part. Tell me about that briefly.
When people are ill, they cannot think about spiritual things. And God understands that. That's why He meets us where we are.
That's right.
He met me where I was, and I'm thankful for that. But the deeper things of heaven, the things that we're going to be going through, just like the children of Israel went through before they went into the Promised Land, He prepared them with a health message before that because He knew that He would be able to strengthen them for the journey ahead. We also are now facing similar things that we're going to be going through, and we need to be prepared. We need to be able to reduce our dependence on society. And so for so many reasons, and then of course our communication, which is our frontal lobe, is then enhanced in such a big way when our body is healthy. We know that our mind is also part of our body, and when we strengthen our body, our mind gets strengthened as well. Then when we're well, then God can speak to us of other things. Until then, we can't really hear His voice in the manner that He would really like to speak to His people.
You know what's amazing about this, and I'd like to bring our audience in on this, one of the greatest examples we have in the Bible, the book of Daniel, a book of prophecy. But it began by these Hebrew worthies saying, give us fruits, grains, nuts, pulse, water. And for those of you who don't understand how powerful that is, what's happened in Linda's life and in Ed's life happened in the Hebrews' lives. In 10 days, they were fairer, fatter, healthier, and wiser. And on the other side of our news break, we're going to talk about how you can benefit from that, how God has an optimal plan for you. Now, we'll be back with a few closing thoughts after this news break. One of the challenges we have here at 3ABN is it's never enough time. But we are so glad that you've tuned in today. I want to give Ed and Linda an opportunity within the short time we have left, 30 seconds or so, challenge our viewers and our listeners as to what you request or what you suggest they could do to have that abundant life.
I would suggest, first of all, they give God a chance as their great physician, especially if they're facing any health challenges. I'm reminded of a text, or not a text, but a Spirit of Prophecy quote. When in faith we take hold of His strength, He will change, wonderfully change the most hopeless, discouraging outlook. He will do this for the glory of His name.
Wow.
So for the people who've given up and they want to just cash it all in, give God a chance and be willing to listen to what He offers.
Right, don't stop at your wall. Ed, any parting thoughts?
We just want to encourage people to never quit looking to the Lord for not only their spiritual guidance, but their healing as well.
Amen.
You know, the message of the gospel is not just what's happening in the last days, the signs of the end, the earthquakes, you know, political and social unrest, but the message is a good news message. The gospel is good news. And as we talk about that here at 3AB, and we believe that programs like this is indelibly connected to that ongoing good news. What sense would it be to know all these signs of the last days and not be healthy enough to stand firmly for your faith and for being a reflection of God's glory during these closing times? Well, friends, you know we believe that health is a very significant part of your spiritual walk. If you take the time to consider what God has in store for you, the day will come when you will not only know Jesus, but you'll know His abundant life. May God bless you until we see you again.